Good day, boys and girls. My name is Auntie Brenda and I'm here with another Keep Reading Hour. I know you're excited, and so today's book is a really nice one, and this one is called Anansi in a Pot of Beans. My kids actually love this story. Anansi in a Pot of Beans, as told by Bobby and Sherry Norfolk and illustrated by Baird Hoffmeyer. Do you see Anansi on this book? This is Anansi. Anansi is a very interesting character, and you're gonna hear about him. There are a lot of stories about Anansi. Let's delve into this one. Here goes. See the village. Have you been to a village before? So early one morning, Anansi Spider went to help Grandma Spider. He knocked on her door. "Grandson," Grandma said as she greeted him with a hug. Anansi blushed. "Hello, Grandma." So this is Anansi, and he went to speak to his grandmother. This is Grandma. Do you see Grandma? Yes. "Grandma Spider," said Anansi, "do you have any work for me today?" "Sure," she said Grandma Spider. "I want you to plant some beans in my garden." Grandma showed Anansi what she wanted done in the garden. Then she went back into the house to fix some lunch. So this is the garden, and she wanted Anansi to plant some beans. This is Anansi right at the back here, and this is Grandma, and this is her garden. This is her house. Anansi dropped beans into small holes in the ground. The sun grew warm and then hot. By noon, Anansi was limp with the heat. So this is him planting the beans. The beans look red. "It's hot and I'm getting thirsty." Anansi pulled the brim of his hat down to shield his face from the sun. So this is Anansi, and the sun is so hot, so very hot. Grandma Spider came to the porch with a large pitcher of fresh lemonade and called to him, "Anansi, here is a cool drink for you." Ooh, nice. Isn't it very nice to drink cold water when the sun is very hot? And that's what Grandma did for Anansi. See, he's smiling now. "Thank you, Grandma," he said as he drank the cold, sweet lemonade. "I'm making your favorite meal," said Grandma. "I'm cooking spicy beans. They'll be ready soon for our lunch." So here the two of them are still standing in the garden. "I love your spicy beans," said Anansi. He finished his lemonade and went back to his work. Grandma Spider returned to the kitchen. Now, as you can see, Grandma Spider has a lot of hands, like any spider does. Grandma Spider looked for her bean spices, but the tins were empty. She called, "Anansi, I need spices. I must go to the market. Will you be okay?" "Sure, Grandma," he answered. "I'll be here in the garden." "Stay away from that pot of beans. The beans are too hot and the pot is too heavy. You understand me, Anansi?" "Yes, Mama. I understand you. I won't go near that pot of beans." So she's instructing him through the window. Ha ha ha! The smell of yummy beans rose from the pot and drifted out the window right into Anansi's nose. Anansi's nose twitched and his mouth began to water. You can see the smell, the scent of the beans teasing Anansi. And Anansi is already hungry and he loves beans. He followed the smell into the kitchen until he was standing at the stove with a pot of beans right under his nose. Do you see Anansi? He's right here. Grandma said not to go near these beans. I better leave. He turned to go back to the garden, but the smell pulled at him. I'm sure it's all right just to smell the beans, he said to himself. Anansi lifted the lid and the hot steam filled the air. Ah! Anansi took a deep breath of the steam. I'm sure it's all right to just taste the beans. Grandma won't have to know. He dipped Grandma's spider big spoon into the pot. See the beans boiling? This is Anansi spiding through into the pot. Anansi blew on the hot beans and tasted them. Ah! He spooned up some more. He spooned and blew. He spooned and blew and slurped up spoonful after spoonful of the beans. The beans that were still in the hot pot, in the pot on the stove cooking, that he was not supposed to be eating. Grandma will come back soon. I don't want to get caught. Anansi thought, I know. I'll put the beans in my hat and Grandma won't know. Ha ha! See, he's taking off his hat now. Anansi took off his hat and filled it full of steaming beans. He's being greedy now because they were cooking the food for them to eat. So he poured the beans into his hat. What an interesting guy. As he put the lid back on the beans, he heard shouts from the garden. Hey, hey, get out of Grandma Spider's garden. These are his friends that are coming. Anansi saw a flock of birds eating the beans he had just planted. Some neighbors were waving and yelling. The scared birds flew through the open kitchen window. See, Anansi is hiding now from the birds. And his hat is still open with the beans in it. The neighbors ran to the porch and pounded on the door. Get out of Grandma's kitchen, you nasty birds. Anansi, let us in to help you. His friends have come to help. Anansi didn't know what to do. He had to hide the beans. Anansi, let us in, the neighbors yelled. The birds screeched and flapped, and Anansi looked around quickly. See the birds? They're dancing around him, flying around him, and his friends are at the door asking him to open the door so they can help him. Anansi did the only thing he could think to do. He pulled a hat full of hot beans on his head and opened the door. The neighbors came in, yelling and screaming and chasing out the flapping birds. These are the neighbors. They're so concerned about Anansi. And Anansi has his hat on, and the hat, we all know what's under that hat. When everything was quiet, they turned to see if Anansi was all right. There stood Anansi with tears streaming down his face. Anansi! Did the birds hurt you, Anansi? Do you see Anansi crying? Do you know why Anansi is crying? Do you? Why? The birds hadn't touched him, but the hot beans juices soaked his beautiful hair. He tried to sound cheerful when he said, thanks everybody, I'm fine. The birds are gone. You can all go home. The neighbors looked at Anansi. Anansi, what's wrong? Why are you sweating? Were you scared? Were you hurt? His friends are all concerned about him. Look at Anansi. He's sweating. He was crying. No, I'm just hot and sweaty from working in the garden. I have to finish now, so you can go. The beans were burning Anansi's head and he couldn't stand still. He danced from side to side and up and down, shaking the hat on his head. Because we know what's on his head, right? They're hot beans. And they pass through the hat, through his hair, and they're not touching his skull. And it's making him very uncomfortable. Anansi, that's a wonderful new dance. Let us watch. The beans were really burning Anansi's head now. The beans juice was running down his face. He shook his hat and danced until finally he could stand it no more. You! Anansi shouted as he pulled the hat from his head. Beans flew everywhere. Oh, Anansi couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't stand it anymore. Then everyone stared at Anansi in surprise. His head was as bald as an egg. The beans had cooked his hair clean off. Oh man, look at what happened to Anansi. Look at Anansi here now. Oh, see Anansi's beautiful hair, all of it gone because he was being greedy. The neighbors began to laugh. Look at Anansi. He was hiding beans in his hat and he cooked his hair right off his head. Look at the beans poor wasting now, and his friends are laughing at him. Anansi was so embarrassed that he ran into the garden and hid in the tall grass until it was dark. He stays in the tall grass a lot these days, and he isn't so crazy about beans anymore. Oh, what an interesting story about Anansi, about the beans, about being greedy. Anansi and a pot of beans. That was the name of our story. Now, what did you learn from the story today? What's your favorite part of the story? Who are the main characters? Where did Grandma go? Why did she leave the house? What instruction did she give to Anansi? Sometimes mommy and daddy gives us instruction. Don't do this. Don't do that. And we do it. Don't you? So you see what happens when you don't follow instruction? She said, don't come near the pot of beans. And Anansi wanted to taste the beans. He was smelling it first. Then he wanted to taste. And then he got greedy. He wanted to put more of the beans in his hat. So I hope you enjoyed the story. And we're going to go into our word for the day. And our word for the day is beans. 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 B-E-A-N-S. Beans. Do you like beans? We have several types of beans that we eat. Which one is your favorite? We have kidney beans, we have lima beans, we have togi beans. So which one is your favorite? So we have beans. B-E-A-N-S. Grab your pencil and your piece of paper and write beans. That's our word for today, beans. As usual, let's clap our way into learning and remembering the word. Are you ready? Clear your hands. Are you ready? Okay, very good. Let's go. B-E-A-N-S. Beans. B-E-A-N-S. Beans. B-E-A-N-S. Beans. That's it. That is our word for the day, and that brings us to the end of another Keep Reading session. Again, our story for the day was Anansi and a pot of beans, and our word for the day was beans. Hope you enjoyed the story. Hope you're staying home and staying safe. Hope you're washing your hands often. Hope you're following mommy and daddy's instruction. Hope you're making time to read. Until our next reading session, it's been Auntie Brenda, and this has been a production of the Kids Educational Engagement Project KEEP in partnership with Tama TV. See you next time.